Triple H taking over creative for the WWE. Triple H is taking over not only talent relations, but also full creative. I'm sure he'll have people, little minions underneath him, doing his bidding, but Triple H is the guy, the visionary for creative in WWE. And of course, his wife Stephanie, co CEO with Nick Khan. But I think the general consensus is that everything creatively, everything we're going to start to see on TV is going to be from the vision of the game, Triple H. And I'm excited to see it. Triple H is a proven commodity in the world of wrestling, in creative. We've already seen what his vision can look like on the black and gold brand of NXT, of which was the greatest thing going in wrestling till AEW came around. And of course, I am partial to AEW. I'm a big AEW mark. But certainly that put a big kink in the black and gold brand, at least in Vince McMahon's eyes, as he changed it to the splatter paint brand of NXT 2.0. We are hearing rumors that that could change as well, that things might start to go back to Triple H's original vision for that product. But Triple H is the man now on the main roster. And though the main roster is not going to be able to do a lot of the same things that NXT was able to do, it's a bigger brand, it's more mainstream, it's got to reach a wider audience, and they can't just drastically change overnight or they're going to push away a lot of the people that are already watching the boring-ass stale product that's there right now. But who knows? Changes he makes may be able to bring people in as well. And this has shaken up the industry. Everybody's giving their 2 cents. I'm going to cover a lot of that here today. Basically, every clip I got is going to be in regards to the Vince McMahon retirement or Triple H taking over or Stephanie McMahon as CEO. So I'm excited to get into all of that. But as far as Triple H taking over creative, we do have a clip here from Nick Hausman over at Wrestling Inc. Was able to snag an interview with Triple H real quick and was able to ask him about what we might see going forward in the WWE now that the game is in charge of creative. Check out this clip.
Triple H, I gotta ask, you're in charge of creative now. How is the product gonna be different underneath you as opposed to when Vince McMahon had the book?
Gotta watch the show. Look, this is the longest running stuff on TV. We say it all the time, right? Raw, SmackDown, SummerSlam, just everything that we're doing, right? They're a massive pair of shoes to fill that I'm trying in some way to step into, but I do not dream for 1 second that I can fill those shoes. By myself, it's going to take, period, but by myself, it's going to take a lot of us. It's going to take a team. It's going to take everybody here to fill those shoes and continue this on, but we will. We will. The intent is to continue the legacy of what has been going on, what made me fall in love with this business that he created, and to take it to new levels.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot to say about it, but he just said kind of keep an eye on the product and watch it for yourself, basically, and I'm excited to. I will actually start watching WWE again. If you do listen to the podcast regularly, you will know that I am not a fan of WWE. I am not an avid watcher of WWE. I do follow it. I'm a wrestling fan through and through. I'm a born wrestling fan. I'm not a fair weather fan. I'm not a fly-by-night fan, but Vince McMahon's WWE product, his creative, basically drove me out of my fandom. I barely watched the product. I got to a point where I stopped watching the shows regularly and only watched the pay-per-views. And then I even got to a point where I stopped watching the pay-per-views. I only watched like a Mania or a Royal Rumble or something like that. He basically killed my fandom. Then AEW came in. Well, NXT before that. I always watched everything NXT. You know, NXT was a great brand, and that does speak to what Triple H can bring to the table. And then when AEW came in, I certainly, that was able to draw me back in, and I started watching that product. And they haven't yet pushed me away, so that's a good sign. But now that Triple H is taking back over, and we didn't see much of it this past Monday, I did pop in and take a look at what they had going on Monday. Not a lot of changes in the product from what it was before. I did hear, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but I did hear that Vince McMahon had written a script before he officially retired. He had written or at least approved a script for Raw, and they mostly went off of that. Not only that, but going into a pay-per-view like SummerSlam, you don't want to make too many major changes, right? You want to kind of at least coast in and just kind of keep the status quo going into the pay-per-view. So I think a lot of what we're going to see from Triple H as far as creative changes are really going to kick in on the Monday after SummerSlam. And that's a perfect place to kind of refresh and restart and kind of reboot the WWE program, because everything was already kind of lined up and booked for SummerSlam. I do expect to see some changes in SummerSlam, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes are applied immediately. We'll probably not see so many fuck finishes. I'm sure we're going to see some good competitive matches. It'll probably be a wrestling heavy show if he has any say in the actual matches itself, which I think he will, obviously. But really, this is going to kick into effect after SummerSlam, the Monday Night Raw. After, I expect to see some major changes, and then those changes are just going to continue, and they're going to go throughout the whole product. We're going to see it on SmackDown. We're going to see it in NXT. We're going to start to see Triple H's thumbprint on the product, and I'm here for it. The man has proven himself. Like I said, NXT was a fantastic product, and Triple H rarely had a miss. All the takeovers were bangers. Every takeover was like, how are you going to outdo the next? And they did. And then there's a lot of other things to consider. You know, one of the big things is that with Triple H taking over now, a lot of the talent that was leaving the WWE before were people that were frustrated with their position, frustrated with the booking, frustrated with Vince McMahon. And, you know, there's rumors that Triple H is already in talks with Sasha Banks, trying to bring her back into the fold, and Naomi. And he's trying to mend fences and trying to rebuild those bridges that Vince McMahon burned. And for all we're aware of, you know, there's a large contingency of people out there on the internet that believe that Vince McMahon's secretly still pulling strings behind the scenes and that it's still going to be Vince's product, even though, you know, it's just retirement. Retired. I'm retired. Wink, wink. I thought that was the case. That was actually my take on it until he actually retired. And when he stepped down from CEO, but it was rumored that he was still in charge of creative, my take on it was that this was only a wink and a nod, that Vince McMahon was still gonna be status quo, right? But now that more shit's coming out about Vince, the dirt is piling up, the bodies are being uncovered, and we're starting to see more and more questionable stuff coming out about Vince McMahon. I really do think he's on the outs. And I wonder what Vince is going to do with his life now. Everything was wrestling. You know, what the fuck is he going to do now? But really, it doesn't matter because us as wrestling fans, life is going to move on. And we're in a fresh new era now where we've never been. Basically, I venture to guess that there's nobody within the sound of my voice that has watched wrestling that was not in control by Vince McMahon. That everybody within the sound of my voice, their fandom has been within the range of Vince McMahon coming into power. If you are older people and you do remember a pre-Vince McMahon WWF, fucking A right, man. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Now you've lived through the whole Vince McMahon era. But this is uncharted territory, and I'm actually excited. Stock price went up in WWE, so I'm not even the only one. Other people are excited about this. This change is being seen as a good thing. Everybody saw Vince McMahon as stale. Nobody liked Vince McMahon's product. Very few people, and there are a lot of, I mean, if you go on Twitter, there is a very vocal, diehard WWE audience that they're just WWE, everything WWE does is great. And hey, more power to you if you enjoyed the product when Vince McMahon was in charge, but it was dog shit. It was flat out dog shit. And I do hope that we start to see some major changes, and that Triple H's vision is something that will not only make WWE more watchable, more entertaining, but will bring back wrestling fans and will create a whole nother boom period for the business. So that does remain to be seen, but I do have full faith in the man, in the game, in Mr. Paul Levesque. So let's all sit back, kick our feet up, watch SummerSlam, see how it unfolds. And from the Raw after going forward, we are in the McMahon-Helmsley era, baby. Woo! On to the next. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.